Hello friends, glad to see you on the channel. Today we will talk about the topic that excites humanity for thousands of years and at the same time carefully hides from the broad masses. It will be about immortality, about why many scientists and entire scientific institutions officially deny him, although there are more and more facts and evidence in favor of eternity of consciousness. Why are discoveries about immortality hide and sometimes even ridiculed? Let's figure it out. Modern science has grown on material philosophy. The world is matter and consciousness is a byproduct of the brain. If we admit that consciousness is immortal and able to exist separately from the body, the whole philosophical foundation of the last centuries collapses. Textbooks will have to be rewritten, and the status of the scientists themselves will be at risk. Many are afraid of this collapse, so they prefer to deny inconvenient facts. For centuries, the fear of death was an instrument of management. It is easier for people to manage when they believe that life is short and finite. They will be submissive, careful, and dependent. If a person understands that he is immortal, it is difficult to control him. Therefore, many political and religious systems are interested in hiding the truth about the eternity of consciousness. A huge part of the world economy is built on fear of death. Pharmaceuticals, medicine, insurance companies, the anti-aging industry, all this brings trillions of dollars. But if people are aware of immortality, many of these industries will lose meaning. Therefore, the recognition of the eternity of consciousness will undermine the financial systems of the world. A scientist who publicly declares immortality risks losing his career. Colleagues will make fun of, the articles will not accept, they will deprive grants. History knows dozens of examples when researchers who studied reincarnation or near-death experience became outcasts in the scientific community. Therefore, many prefer to be silent. They know, but do not say. When we say that the discoveries about immortality of consciousness are intentionally hidden, it is important to understand not only why, but also how this happens. After all, such mechanisms are carefully debugged and work for decades. Any discovery in science should be published in a reviewed journal. It sounds honest. Colleagues check if there are errors, but in fact, the system works as a filter. If the study contradicts official dogmas, it is simply not published. Without publication, work is considered a non-existent. Thus, even the most convincing studies about the survival of consciousness outside the body do not fall into the academic environment. The scientist can prove immortality, but if his article is not printed in the correct journal, the world will not recognize this. Even when evidence appears, they are clothed in safe formulations. Anomaly of perception instead of leaving the body. Hallucinations of the brain instead of visions of dead relatives. Random coincidences instead of the memories of past lives. Thus, at the level of terminology, immortality seems to be erased, turning into inexplicable but random. There is a whole layer of official skeptics, people who publicly make fun of everything related to soul, immortality, and consciousness. They can be seen on television, in articles, in universities. They are not always real researchers. More often, these are people who are used to form a correct opinion. Their task is to convince society that immortality is a myth, a fairy tale, a fiction for the weak. The scientists who are daring to publicly talk about immortality are often on pressure. They close access to grants. They are not invited to the conference. Their work is subject to mockery. In the press, they are exposed obscurantists. This creates an atmosphere of fear. Young researchers see how the fate of their colleagues break and prefer to be silent. There is a fundamental separation: official science for the masses and closed studies for the elite. For a wide society, a simple thought is broadcast. Death is the end. Consciousness dies with the brain. Closed projects are carried out for narrow groups, where they study the possibilities of consciousness, its energy, influence on matter. In fact, humanity is kept in artificial darkness in order to maintain control and prevent the loss of existing order. Even if stories about immortality are leaking in the media, they drown in a sea of entertainment, news, and scandals. A person simply has no time to think about the eternity of consciousness. He is deliberately overloaded with unnecessary information. Every day of the news feeds are filled with politics, show business, household problems. As a result, the truth is recessed in the ocean of unnecessary noise. They create the appearance that everyone has the right to believe in anything. But this freedom is limited by the framework of the system. If you believe in the eternity of the soul quietly and personally, this is not a problem. But it is worth starting to investigate or publicly argue that immortality is real and proved. The system instantly reacts. This resembles a game of chess. You are allowed to move pawns, but they are forbidden to attack the king. Despite all attempts to hide the truth, humanity gradually gets out of control of these filters. The internet destroys the monopoly on knowledge. People share their personal experience of near-death experiences. Independent researchers publish open work. Society believes less and less in the absolute correctness of official science. Thus, the mechanisms of concealment are still working, but their effectiveness falls. The truth about the immortality of consciousness is hidden not because of the lack of evidence, but because of a complex system of filters, pressure, and manipulations. But more and more people see cracks in this wall, and sooner or later she will collapse. Studies of immortality are underway, but closed. In the military laboratories of the USA, Russia, China, they study the phenomena of consciousness. There are shadow projects in universities to study near-death experience. Documents on reincarnation are stored in archives inaccessible to the public. True, but it is carefully filtered so that it does not reach the masses. Despite the resistance, there are more and more facts. Near-death experiences. Thousands of people describe the same paintings of exit from the body. Reincarnation. Children in many countries recall past lives with amazing accuracy. Quantum physics. New theories say that consciousness exists outside of space and time. These data cannot be denied, but they are officially called anomalies. The internet destroyed the monopoly on knowledge. Thousands of researchers share discoveries directly with people. People are less and less believe in dogmas and are increasingly relying on personal experience and evidence. At some point, there will be so many evidence that it will become impossible to hide them. The main reason why immortality is hidden is associated with the moral side. If life is finite, you can afford everything, because after death a void. But if we are immortal in consciousness forever, we will have to answer for each act. This scares many influential people because it means that justice is inevitable. Today we have examined the reasons why many scientists hide discoveries about immortality. This is a fear of losing scientific foundations and economic interests in politics and personal fears. But the truth gradually breaks through all obstacles. Death is not the end. Consciousness is forever. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you were interested, support the channel, like and subscription so as not to miss new issues. See you, friends. Take care of yourself and remember, we are eternal.